welcome back to Pirate Adventures. God, I haven't said that for a while.
Yar.
Yar indeed. Right, so let's start by a very quick recap, because we have recaps in a lot of places, the old videos, the wiki, all sorts of lovely things, which I'm sure we'll link somewhere. Basically, in the Cliff Notes, our party had become one crew. This crew navigated the seas for a little while, endeavouring to meet up back with their previous captain being Branimir Bloodbeard, who, unfortunately, at the point of their meeting and the mission that they were willing to carry out, was in fact killed by Commodore Cleric Kane. Now, Kane, surprisingly, let the rest of them go, take Bloodbeard's body, in which the rest of the journey was taking Branimir to the Pirate Council to be buried. A funeral fit for a Pirate Council member. Now, on this journey, friends were met, friends were lost, and many adventures and shenanigans were had. Eventually, there came more and more influence from these artifacts that had been slowly being trickled in throughout the journey. In fact, to the point where artifacts just started turning up, rather surprisingly. After some interaction with some new friends like No-Eyed Bill, and, well, actually, No-Eyed Bill's kind of the main guy here. When it comes to artifact stuff for you guys, you found yourself in a new race against time, with No-Eyed Bill suggesting an Armageddon coming and the artifacts having something to do with it. So the plan was to race all the way to the Pirate Council to warn them and perhaps gain some allies in stopping said end of the world. Journey continued, a little skip, hop and a jump through the astral plane, or the Sea of Dreams, as they like to call it. You found yourself eventually at the wreckage, the hub for all pirates. This is where the Pirate Council stay, this is where they meet, this is their war council, if it ever comes to that. This is their fortress. In coming here, you met with a few of the Pirate Council members, some of you more agreeable than others. You made some decisions along the way, which have certain consequences, which I'm sure we'll get into at some point. But you also got across your message. Branimir Bloodbeard was dead. There was his body. Cleric killed him, and the artifacts have something to do with the coming of the end of the world. Pirate Council agreed that they would discuss and try to sort things out after the funeral for Bloodbeard and after every Pirate Council member was there. Over a couple weeks, they all individually turned up, each one with their own thematic description, let's say. And finally, you had Bloodbeard's funeral, in which his send-off took a lot of gold, a few holes in a boat, and a very long drift into the ocean as it sank to the bottom. What was unexpected was a kind of like a hologram, an illusionary message from Commodore Cleric Kane asking for parley while he arrived with his fleet of ships. Now, before we get into it, I want to do a couple of things here. One is a retcon, and something I mentioned was that each something mentioned, it was very like a fine line, so I'm not surprised if no one remembers it, but something I mentioned was that Tyrrell Bolt said to all of you that Electrum, there was only 8 or 9 in the world. that is not correct. Tyrrell Bolt instead would have said to you, there's barely 50 of them in the world. They're very worth a lot of money, but there's not only 8 or 9.
Okay. I guess he was referring to their election pieces.
No, he was just referring to regular Electrum pieces.
I mean,
but
I imagine their Electrum
that
is
is still the case that the gold chalice that they fling an Electrum piece into, the Electrum piece is just a regular Electrum piece. But when they fling it in, you do hear a ringing noise when that happens.
So they could be enchanted in
the
some
other
way.
thing I wanted to do is just to say that for this second half of the campaign, or this season 2, I should say, is we're going to be a lot less mappy, unless it's battle maps, and a lot more visual imagination and that kind of thing. So for that reason, I'm going to re-describe the wreckage. So when you first entered and saw the wreckage, it is a fortress of wrecked ships. And it looks as if about 5 or 6 man-of-wars at the base have been rammed into each other, crashing and splintering until they mesh together. The docks for this wreckage, which is kind of standing upon spiked rocks. Like, it is mainly ocean here. There are shards of rock sticking out in multiple directions. And from those 5 base, like man-of-war's galleons, you have about 9 docks spanning out miles. Absolutely miles. You would have to sail past for a good mile or 2 to then eventually dock in like, if there's a few people there already. Sorry, a few ships there already. On the second level, there's even more smash ships, but that's about 3 sort of smashed together. And then after that, you have 2 ships standing up at a point, colliding with each other. So the rear end of one ship is at the top, and the rear end of the other ship is at the bottom. Not at the bottom, but standing on these 3 other ships. That is how tall the thing you're looking at is. So, say every ship is on average about 60 to 90 feet. You're looking at a few hundred feet into the air is where this thing stops. And all the lanterns on like the rear end of the vessel and in captain's quarters windows and all that kind of thing are alight and all lit as they usually would be. It looks as if this mesh of ships is somehow still a floating thing, even though it's very much not. The other thing I wanted to do, because it's been a while, I would like everyone to reintroduce their character, what you look like, the class, the level, the subclass, and then in the 2 weeks of gap that we had some discussions offline, but it'd be nice to have any quick discussions on any things your character might do in their free time as just a quick get back into character. And I'm going to be evil and pick someone out, and I'm going to start with Alarias because your name begins with an A.
That makes sense. Alphabetical order. So Alarias, he is a high elf, male wizard, level 6. I was trying to get up what school. Is it School of Magic? Oh, I can't remember too much.
I think
It's
it's
evocation.
evocation.
I
Yeah.
thought evocation.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, evocation. So yeah, as we kind of know, the big thing with Alarias that he lost his memory towards the start of the campaign. And we didn't really know too much about his backstory. We knew he'd been with previous kind of crews in the past, and he has that experience as a boatswain. And then being with Bloodbeard, he was quite close and hunting down the artifacts. and then kind of throughout the season, his aim was to really get those memories back. Obviously, towards the end of the season, he did finally succeed with Umbra's help, hunting down all those ingredients, and I think that's given him a lot more purpose. It's something I definitely need to figure out. Like, what's his purpose now coming into this next season? He's figured out a lot from his past, so we'll kind of see where that goes, and might find out more about his past if he cares to share. But yeah, what does he look like? He's kind of like, he's got a big long like trench coat. He's got a scarf, kind of like grey colors. I think his skin color is grey as well as a high elf, kind of that dark tone. Yeah, he's not like out there. He's not out there with all the colors, so he's quite like reserved. Yeah.
And also massive racist.
And again, I'm just going to keep this alphabetical because, well, that's how your characters are in Beyond for me. So, Elizora.
Why, how do? I am Elizora Estiedieu, and I am the multifaceted warlock of the Fathomless. As you may tell, she is a lover of green, and she actually is a wielder of one of the many artifacts in our control, being Thalassa, Fury of the Deep. She has bright pink hair, and her eyes are pure white. There are not a single ounce of a pupil in there. It's purely white. Maybe some aspect as to why she got those is who knows to anyone else. She is the first mate and pretty much the schemer of the happenstance that got Vaela their captaincy. To an essence, after Grizil made the unfortunate attempt of polishing a officer's boots. But yeah, she's a fun queen.
Wow. I can't say this any other way. So, Tortle Tim, what about you?
Tortle Tim, level 6, Tortle, Cleric, male, Death Domain. Tortle Tim's purpose in life, after some tragic backstory, is seeking a life without death for all. He's very pious. He follows Joylith to a fault in pursuit of perhaps his own gains, as well as, those given to him directly by what he believes to be the goddess. Shit. He carries a great club. He's green all over, apart from his like rocky, craggy brown shell that has like deep, jagged sort of fissures running down it. Pretty utilitarian, totally nude, apart from a swirling black loincloth that just sort of seems to sink deeper and deeper and deeper into the nether regions of his crotch. He has a Tortle skull fastened to, well, he doesn't have a belt, so just on a loop of rope around his waist, he holds his brother Nigel's skull. It's very dark. The skull is blackened, charred almost to a crisp. Yeah, he's zealous and he is naive, but I think he has a good heart somewhere.
He has a very good heart. All he wants to do is help people.
All he wants to do is help people.
All he wants to do is help people. It's a great heart. And Umbra.
How to introduce Umbra? He's an interesting character. I think I'll start with the appearance. He has the appearance of a Kenku, and he is an artificer. He specializes. I guess he's kind of got two specialities. It's kind of, well, I guess it's like biology and chemistry. I guess I would think of it that way. He makes potions and stuff, but that's not his main love in life. His main thing is biology. Just he's got a thing for chopping up bodies, opening them up, having a look inside, seeing what makes them tick, trying to combine them in sort of horrible and weird ways. It was actually revealed that Umbra is a changeling, which is actually something he didn't even know initially, although he found out later. But he's decided to keep his Kenku form, only morphing when he really has to. And yeah, Umbra's goal in life, I guess, is he's carrying around the brain of his deceased master in a jar, which preserves the brain. And Umbra wants to construct a new body for his master, and he's working on gathering. You know, he wants his master's body to be really good, so he's gathering a lot of different unique body parts. Just looking at what he's got so far, he has a hunter wolf heart, the body of Tree Lifter, who was just like a big Goliath dude, and a body of a Balgara, but it's missing a head and a hand, so I'm not sure if he'll use that. But yeah, that's I think yeah, he's a bit of a schemer. You know, he likes doing his own thing. He will occasionally work for the good of the crew, but only when coerced or if he thinks he can get something out of it.
Oh, good old Umbra. And last of all, but definitely not least, Vaela.
In the meantime, correction from Arthur. Grave domain, not death domain. My mistake.
Just
So
checking. Did you do it? Did you do a
No,
subclass glitch?
no. Grave is good.
I don't remember it happening.
It happened off screen in the time skip.
Oh right, of course. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Vaela Crescent. She is an Aasimar rogue. She was originally an arcane trickster, but in the 2 weeks she has changed to a swashbuckler. She was actually my backup character initially. Grizel was my main character, but through the situation, Elizora and her basically sorted out that mutiny, which dethroned Grizel, and Vaela took that position as captain, and as a result, I basically switched characters. Which she's obviously always wanted to do. So she's kind of giddy about it, but obviously trying to, you know, keep up this sort of tougher exterior. As a result, obviously very keen to find these artifacts. While she's here, she's sort of planning to see if she can weasel her way into the council, especially with these artifacts. In terms of appearance, there's not. I wouldn't say there's much sort of special about her appearance. She's kind of on the outside very much just like a normal human woman, with sort of dark brown hair, sort of largely black clothing with a tricone hat. She carries the Storm Sword, which is a long sword that pulses with sort of lightning magic, which is basically being used as the de facto sign of captaincy on the bone blade. And a rapier on the other end, which with a sort of golden hilt where indents were where gems used to be, because the crew just took them, or the captain at the time took them, sort of. But yeah, that's basically what she does. Obviously, as an Aasimar, she can grow wings and stuff as and when the need arises.
All right. So there is 2 weeks of downtime before the funeral that we've already been to. Just out of curiosity, what would your characters be up to? Anything particular they do in their downtime? Anything they would look into? Anything they'd be curious about? This is kind of a chance for you guys to just kind of little likes, dislikes, what they do in their chill time.
I remember that Alarias and Elizora is going to try and get Vaela blind drunk because she's a new captain.
That already was successful.
Yeah, that was very successful.
That went very well.
Yeah, she's probably trying to mingle with the council members, like the council captains. I think that's mostly what she's gonna be doing. But yeah.
Okay, I like that. While everybody's doing everything else, can you just roll a general charisma D20 roll, and I
Yeah.
just want to see how that went in my head. Why don't
Ooh,
we
that was
just
good.
go back up the list? Umbro, you'll probably just work on your golem, right?
Yeah, Umbra will just be working on the golem. I don't know if we're like stopping anywhere. We just completely out to sea. If he's always on the look for interesting like new beasts or anything like that. And I think he'll just be trying to solicit like donations and stuff from the crew.
We accept donations. I remember that too well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think Umbra's kind of the doctor as well, right? From what I remember. So
Yes,
if you don't
yes,
check up to
unfortunately,
anything,
yes.
you know, he'll just kind of be like,
Doctor.
if you want to donate, you know, that's fine.
You get a splinter. We have to take the arm. What?
Is there anyone very like unusual or strong on the ship at the moment?
Good question. I don't believe so. You have a couple lizard folk, I think, still amongst your crew.
I think Umbra would like a lizard because lizards can regenerate, can't they? So he might offer to pay one of them to come down to his lab for some experiments.
Unlimited limbs.
I mean, you risk them eating you as well. On the flip
Yeah,
side.
they're hungry fellas.
Don't worry, Umbra's he's not even crossing his mind.
I like the idea that when
Also,
you do this, there's only a couple of them, by the way, and when you do this, they just kind of snarl and growl at you, and then one of them is just licks their lips, staring at you, and it's kind of there's a contemplation there, and I'd say just your passive insight would probably be able to tell that they're just thinking if they can get alone with you for long enough, maybe they can just take an arm for some food.
Umbra's just thinking, he's just debating in his head, like, is it worth trying to use himself as bait to like lure one of them? But he decides against it. And I forgot to add something earlier. I realized I've also got a bunch of heads which are in a different section. I think
Yep.
because they're not worthy of being the head for the master, but I have a severed guard head, a captain guard head, and a seaweed wizard head. I don't know who that is.
I've got a
The
sculpt head, I
seaweed
think.
wizard. Yeah, no, I know who that is. Yeah.
Okay, I have his head, apparently.
Yes, good for you. Yeah, you can put
Kraken
Kraken
wizard.
Priest head.
Priest head, okay.
A Kraken Priest's head.
Ah, okay.
Although I do
For
quite like
some,
seaweed.
I have a lot of stuff actually. Anyway, yeah, I'll go for it later. But...
You're a hoarder, dude. Right. Alarias, you have some newfound knowledge of your past. I don't know if
Yeah.
Dan, the player, actually has that knowledge to hand or not.
I
but-
do, yeah.
Okay, cool. So, you know, you've got a couple weeks. You've had a few chats with Odana Eagle Eye and oh god, what's the other one called? Halon Koi, who's the captain of the Poseidon's Grace, and Odana Eagle Eye is the captain of the Dancing Drake.
Yeah,
you had a few chats with them.
Yeah, I was thinking while we're doing this downtime, I think I don't know how far he got with Aramel's spellbook, or if there's any more to be gleaned from that. Maybe we can pick it up offline, but yeah, he's trying to tie to what he's just asking No-Eyed Bill about tracking someone where he only knows their name, he doesn't have any of their belongings. And yeah, just seeing if anyone has that ability in the wreckage to be able to track down. Because I know there was that Promi guy in the astral plane, but if there's anyone here that's resourceful enough to be able to do that, yeah, he would just be asking around.
Tell you what, roll me an investigation check. More rolls. Yeah, straight into it.
Oh, that's not good. 12.
You struggle to find anyone with that knowledge, but No-Eyed Bill will say, well, don't worry about it, my friend. I'm sure there is a place where you can do that kind of blasted thing. Plenty of towers with wizards and such, and libraries. Perhaps Miracal. Been there once. Great place. Very nice.
Yeah, maybe talk to No-Eyed Bill, get a list of areas that he could search for wizards that could potentially have that have
Yeah,
that
he's
magic.
he's friendly with you enough to kind of just
Yeah.
divulge. So he'll say like, there are certain witches which will do it, but there will be a price.
Hmm.
And if you want to know more about those, just let me know and I'll give you more in depth. And he also says to you that the island of Merical, being the biggest continent that's left, has quite a lot of different like villages and cities in it, all kind of their own different cultures. But one does have a temple, and temples tend to have archives. Archives tend to have knowledge, that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, no, I want to note down in case we ever go there. Okay.
And Elizora.
My, oh my, what would Elizora get herself into?
Yeah, that's what I like to hear.
I think predominantly Elizora will be after the conversations with the two captains about their artifacts. She will like catch up on like old faces, call up some old favors, get some new ones. I think maybe a favor she tries to call in on would be to try around this elemental thing we were saying about to try and assist the eagle eye woman. But
Yep.
ultimately, Elizora is reluctant to do anything herself. For that case, so she can like call in a favor that gets it done, then that's perfect on her side. But there's
I
not a lot of leeway. We should be happy to potentially negotiate a few other favors over the other direction if need be.
Yeah, no, I think you've been around a while, Elizora. You know how to get into people's pockets and out. I feel like
Wait.
there's plenty of situations where,
Do some research.
yeah, research, yeah. You definitely, there's enough where you can go, all right, I know there's probably a few people you know that you talk to, and they generally give you a few pointers in the right direction, like where you can find them. Like the mountains tends to hold a lot of air elementals, and there's also a couple of places where even if you can just get up high enough in the sky, some air elementals are going about. Ever since Flood, like the line between the elemental planes and this one are a little bit fuzzy in certain spots. No-Eyed Bill will happily tell you that. And there's probably, yeah, there's one rumor that keeps coming out of this drunk guy's mouth just constantly, that there is a sky city somewhere.
Yeah, we already know that one.
Yeah, he's just constant about that. He doesn't want to shut up about it. Everyone's telling him he's wrong though.
Elizora wants to be able to proposition someone else to do the work. She don't want. Okay, fine. All the information is grand, but she doesn't want to be the one to have to facilitate this. She just wants to be able to be like, hey, y'all, go here. You can do it. It'd be great. You have great reputation for y'all, and then you can fend it all back to, and then we reap the benefits. At least in this 2-week gap. That's the sum of the parts. At least Elizora is focusing on.
Thinking, let me check. Just curious now. Actually,
I can be as persuasive as you need me to be.
I'll tell you what. You roll me a percentile dice.
Percent. Am I hoping for high or low?
I'm going to tell you now. It needs to be above 80.
Ooh. Oh, I got hundreds.
You got 100.
Literally 0, 0, 0, all zeros.
Right, of course you did. So what you get is you get literally someone swagger up to you, someone you've never met before, and they look, either they have a reason to be as confident as they're walking. Oh yeah, look at that.
I've not touched it.
0, 0, 0s. Oh, that's so
Literally
good.
as it rolled.
Amazing. So they walk up to you, and they are either incredibly confident but arrogant, or they are so confident they deserve to be.
Oh.
And they sort of swagger over to you. You see that they've got wands around their belt, a long duster coat, and he comes in to you and he says, "Heard you've been looking to get yourself a fairy elemental."
Well, unless a words, it's some of its parts.
Well, I got a price, but I'll do it for you. Got something to trap the beast?
I'm sure the collective group of ours can sustain something like that, perhaps.
All right. How soon you want it by?
Well, what's your price?
That depends on the timing.
Well, give me a plethora of opportunities. Like, how do I know? Like, your bargain bucket time is a good price if I don't know what it is compared to anything else.
No deadline? I'll get it back to you when I get it back to you. You pay me half now, half after. That's 100 platinum.
Right. Okay.
50 platinum now, 50 platinum after I get it back.
Well, I'm not the one that's gonna be paying y'all. It's gonna be the old captain over there, pointing to the fair captain lady of the that has. She needs the air elemental. I'm just associating.
Right, I'll go proposition her then.
That's true.
Thanks very much.
No worries.
I'm just head to you. Walks over to her, and you can hear they start talking.
Definitely want to be in
And-
earshot.
Yeah. Perception.
12.
So you hear remnants. You hear her especially. Well, how do? You think you can get myself an air elemental that's gonna power up my flying ship? Really? I never thought I was gonna get that kind of thing. He's like so monotoned, drony, and low, you can barely hear what he says. And she's just like, "Well, all right, I can give you something worth, definitely. I got this right here." She points to the compass. It's pretty worth a lot of money, and I'm not gonna need it when I got that. And,
Hey, hang on now. We had a deal.
well, hold on, lady. You're not the one that's gonna get me up this flying ship.
I'm
He
the
is.
associating fee. Is that their compass? We already agreed that.
I think
You
we
already promised
agreed
that
that
to
if
me.
you're gonna be the one to get me up in the air, then you're gonna be the one that's gonna get the compass.
And without me, would you have met such a fine sir? No, you would have not.
Honey, I know haggling, and this is not it.
You're trying to cheat yourself away from friendship. That's what it is.
Sweetheart, if you want to go get that air elemental before he does and bring it back to me, I will give you this compass myself.
Now you're being difficult.
I'm just saying, the one who supplies me the thing that's gonna get my my ship to fly, they're gonna be the one that's gonna get my compass. It's worth the money.
I never counted you for being so cheap. And she stomps off.
You just can't handle some people. And Tim, what are you up to at the moment?
Caring for the flock.
Caring for the
got-
flock.
I've got some gold. I've got 200. I feel like I should get some decent food stocks, some nice meats, some wines, perhaps.
Yeah, they do
So
have a
shop-
little market stall. It wasn't
Yeah,
there when you first arrived, but
usually
as like
someone
the days
forage.
gone on, people have come in and stopped off and made little
Yep.
stalls and that kind of thing set up.
I mean, I've got a whole flock to feed, so I don't need. Give me a job lot. You got a job lot?
Right, so you've got like one guy selling breads, and this is like breads ready for sailing, and then he's got like biscuits for long-term rations. These biscuits are as hard as rocks.
Okay. Are
Like
there any nice ones? Any sweet ones?
No, no, they're as hard as rocks. They're horrible, but they
Okay.
will last an entire like journey and still be able to eat them at the end.
How about cheese? Is there a cheesemonger?
There isn't a cheesemonger, no.
Oh,
Cheese is scarce in
okay.
the land of flood. Um,
I'll ask around after cheese and wine then.
cheese and wine. Okay, interesting. Wine. You're gonna get rum mainly. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of what else might be made.
Something a little lighter, sweeter for the young ones.
You do know that to make wine, you need grapes. Does
I
it
don't
look
follow.
like there's a fucking vineyard anywhere nearby?
Well, we imports, exports, what have you. This is bad business.
Look, mate, look. You've come to me for a request. I will do my most endeavours to get you what you need. But my current wares is rum, which in this establishment tends to go down quite well.
I feel like we've got rum, you know.
Yeah, you definitely have rum.
We've
yeah.
got enough rum. Okay, no wine. That's fine. Do they have any kind of, I guess, meat then?
Yeah, actually, you do have
Is there a
meat.
butcher? Yeah.
So it's mainly like he's like a fishmonger / butcher,
Mhm.
and it's mainly fish, but he's also got like prime cuts of meat, mainly venison.
Yeah,
It's
man.
mainly
Let's do the prime cuts.
yeah.
I'm willing to drop 50. What can I get for 50?
You wish to pay me 50 for this?
As much as you can spare.
For you, my little friend, I will give you a whole leg of venison for 50.
And he doesn't have anyone fucking with him. I'm guessing I don't know if this is a good deal.
You have
I have to roll for
no
that.
clue whatsoever. You lived on an island.
Yeah, I know. I probably don't even know what venison is.
No, you have no idea.
Just to interject, why are you trying to get like meats? We're because of provisions, we're like set. There's like water, rum, and like fish all the time. This is like
A
your
nice treat.
special primo things for your flock specifically.
Yeah. For those who behave well.
Sure.
Those who behave well.
High
Got
table,
the,
you know
got
what
the
I'm
carrot and the stick, and this is going to be a really
Yeah.
juicy carrot.
saying? I can't think of a good reason to doubt you, my good man. I guess I can vibe check him, right? I can.
Yeah, you can
what's it called?
insight him to see if
What do we
he's
call
trying
it?
to swindle you.
All right, give me a sec. Let me find that on my sheet.
He also interjects up like after you seem a bit unsure, and he goes, "If it is too expensive for you, I have a lot of cured pork,
What have we
salted
got?
pork.
That's an unnatural 20. I've got a good insight bonus.
You know, yeah. Sorry, is that a dirty 20 or a literal? Oh no,
That's
no,
a dirty 20.
dirty 20. Yeah.
But I am on the back foot. I don't know if you want me having disadvantage.
No. I've thought of what the number had to be, so that's fine. So you can tell he's not doing you the best price, but it's not actually that far off, and you can kind of tell from that insight he probably doesn't get the chance to get a chunk of
Yeah.
venison meat very often.
Oh, is this the only one?
Like there's like one like deer basically on
Okay.
ice, and that's pretty much
Oh,
what
nice.
he's got.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take the chance. And Tim turns to walk away. He's like, perhaps I will come back. I have a good friend who's a butcher, you see.
Oh, you do? Perhaps I know him. What is his name? Oh, her
Umbra,
name. Sorry, I do not want
more of
to.
a street butcher than one of the
What do you mean, a street butcher? Do they chop up rats? What is it?
yes, carrion and the like.
That is disgusting.
We both work close to death, my friend. You shouldn't be so squeamish.
No, it is rats. They have, disease and all sorts of horrible things. You do not want to eat rats. Trust me.
It doesn't look like this swayed him.
Not at all. He's
No.
quite confident that he's going to sell the whole deer today.
Yeah, I'll take the leg.
50 gold.
Mm-hmm. I'll subtract it.
He will say to you as well, he's just like, and for you, my friend, because you have been such a kind customer here, take a small pouch of salted pork, and he gives you like a pack
My
of
friend.
bacon kind of size of
Alright.
salted
Alright.
pork.
I'll take it. That's it from me, other than very obviously asking randomers about the artifacts.
hmm So if you ask randomers about the artifacts, most of them just know very little. Half of them don't even understand what the hell you're talking about when it
Yeah,
comes
this
to
is like, have you
artifacts.
seen any magical items?
Yeah, they're literally just like, you get like a range of, do you mean cursed? Or
As cursed as possible.
and you probably get like 5 shanty stories from like
Okay.
really old guys being like these cursed items. They
Mhm.
do not exist. You
No repeats.
with your passive insight, you can tell
Mhm.
they are lying through their teeth, but they just like to talk to someone.
Right. So
Um,
no decent rumors then.
no decent rumors.
Very well.
I'd say as you go through as well, like most of the people don't know about artifacts. They have no idea what you're talking about. Powerful cursed items is pretty much the most understanding they have. You do talk to probably 1 or 2 treasure hunters that have probably heard of like what's it called, of the globe that you've already got in your possession,
Yeah.
because it's basically like, to them they think it's just a massive treasure map.
Yeah. We've spoken to treasure hunters before. We know the like.
Yeah, well, yep. And they'll, apart from that, generally you're coming up at a loss of any like worthy information. You guys are probably the ones with the most information at this point when it comes to
Mhm.
artifacts.
I got what I need. I think
You're welcome.
Tim would know not to spill the
Yeah.
beans on that as well.
Mm.
So, out of curiosity, Vaela's like general charisma check with
Yeah,
the
that-
Pirate Council.
Sorry, that
what
was 22.
that?
That was 22.
22. Interesting. Okay. They tend to get quite friendly with you, Vaela, and they're not in a sense of like, oh yeah, I've got the job for you. More
Yeah, yeah.
like, she's all right.
It's kind of like she kind of got practice with it in a way, because she was doing it when she was first on the Bone Blade. You know how she was sort of mingling in with the crew, trying to get in, get an in. So you know what, I'm pretty capable, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
she's kind of sort of mimicking that in a way with the council members, like not saying that she wants to be a member as such, but like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they do kind of, I think they look at you and they're like, quite a capable captain.
Mm.
Not quite the landlubber I expected.
All the worst parts of my life happened on land. On sea though, free as you can be. No one can tie you down unless you do it.
You're absolutely right.
Unless you do it with an anchor. At least that's your anchor.
Yeah, they're laughing at you. Okay. So
Because this is before Bloodbeard's funeral, isn't it?
this is before the funeral.
yeah.
And just kind of like
She wouldn't be trying to like physically. She wouldn't try to be like getting herself in until like at least after. Because that's like otherwise a bit too.
Does anyone else have anything they would like to mention that they might have done, or anything that they did in this 2-week period?
Not until we set off, I don't think.
Okay, we got time. Not gonna.
Yeah. Anytime that like all the captains, the council members was busy, because you never know. Vaela would have just been like again just partying with the crew, stuff like that.
Fair enough.
But we weren't thinking about them either.
Absolutely.
So, Vaela will talk. We'll speak to Elizora at some point.
Yeah.
Kind of go
I'll cap my cap.
first mate, as it were. At some point, we're going to need to talk to the council members about the artifacts.
Oh yeah.
Now, my plan is to have yourself and No Eyed Bill with us. because, you know, you two are pretty much at the moment the most expertise on the matter.
Naturally.
Of course. Now, obviously, I have read the notes that you gave me, so I've got a rough idea on what these things all do and are. And obviously, based on the reading we got earlier, we are aware that there are 2 other artifacts here, which I think...
Yeah, Alarias and I have had some brief discussions with the associated captains, and well, I think Alarias and I agreed that the Ocean's Grace is not the right suitable swap for us. We're best off keeping with the Bone Blade and then with the Ocean's Grace.
Yes.
There was a premature discussion around trying to get the compass from old, hard to tell on ages these days as an elf, you know.
Yes.
What's her face? The Eagle Eye, Captain Eagle Eye. We had a brief. Well, we discussed the proposition of hers to try and gain the compass, but it seems that her desires are to in trade for the compass and not for handy swaps. So she wishes to.
Do you think that she is aware of what she has?
Oh, she knows. She needs the compass to know how to fly. So the current proposition is to have be able to generate a mechanism for her to be able to fly without the need of the compass. One of which things would be to use an air elemental or some such. Which I've managed to arrange a fella to go out and get such air elemental, but they're not willing to you hand over the compass to us as an arrangement fee, which makes mighty unfortunate.
I mean, we are pirates after all. I wouldn't trust another pirate captain or whoever that said something like that to me, so that kind of makes sense. I wonder if it's something that Slayer may be able to help with. He enhanced the Bone Blade. I don't know if his magical abilities extends to flight, but he may be able to know a thing or two.
Well, I mean, the wheels are kind of already in motion. It's just a matter of, what we could do is bide our time, wait for the old swatcheroo to happen, and then we can just take from the guy who got the compass instead, and then lickety split, we're in the quids in.
Potentially, yes.
And then we're not at odds of other captains as a result.
Yeah. And I suppose it makes sense not to switch ships. So crew obviously are very attached to their ship. Trying to apprise them of that might be quite. Even if we did swap it with the Bone Blade, I think might not necessarily.
Well, there seems to be a lot of greater expectations on the Ocean's Grace than there is of our humble little ship. In terms of some of the depth of which one would need to go to handle the frats and the fraughts.
Yes, you did mention that you sensed one that was underneath the water, so I take it that's what this one is.
It's a heavy toll, I would say, for our needs. It's not exactly what our direct focus would. It kind of tangentialize us all.
I suppose as long as the ship doesn't fall into fleet hands and still within the pirates, then we can always gather. We can always make sure we gather the artifacts on that ship.
Yeah, I'll cut her unlikely that the fleet would better get control of that ship, considering.
Wow.
Wouldn't you agree, Alarias?
Yes.
Great input, Alarias. Thank you. Very well. We'll see what they say about my theory and my plan is to have an alliance, as it were, have a sort of pirates versus fleet scenario. But let's see how well that pans out. I think at least let's get Bloodbeard's funeral out the way first. Let everyone mourn, and
Oh, sure.
Dug it. It's nice. Right. Anyone want to do anything else? Clear. Cool. Got it. Right. So we return to after the funeral. A request, a parley, you hear echoing throughout the wreckage. And as the voice fades, you hear the echoing fizzle out like a ripple in a pond as it settles. Everyone is stunted with quiet. The council all look at each other. With grim faces, they nod. And as you look out to past where Bloodbeard's body had just sunk to the bottom of the waters, the very vessel this journey began on begins sailing towards you. The cutlass in its exact same glory, except the black flag being removed for a white one. Everything remains. Some of the sails have been patched. The very large cutlass blade on the end of it still pointing out towards you. There is a certain remembrance with it. And you can see dotted uniforms of fleet officers walking around the deck, preparing to dock. As they come in, the council members begin walking through the crowd along the dock to meet them. And I guess I have a question for everybody. During the funeral, whereabouts would everyone be? Would you have followed up the dock to watch Branimir's body sink down? Would you have stayed near the base of the wreckage? Or would you have been somewhere in the middle and you would have thrown your gold coin and just let it sink with him?
Vaela would have been as much front and center as she possibly could have been.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, Elizora would go all the way.
Okay, so very much at the base of the wreckage with the Pirate Council almost as close to him as possible.
Yeah.
Tim?
Umbra would go, but not throw in a coin.
Oh, writing that down.
I think Tim will follow suit, sink into the crowd.
Someone will remember this.
Umbra would throw a body part or something.
Could you imagine? Gold tooth.
Wait, hold on. Hey, a gold tooth would have still been gold. Curious question though, Tim, did you just say you also didn't throw anything?
Oh no, I followed suit with the others.
Oh, good, okay.
I think I would observe ritual.
Observe ritual, cool. Just double checking. As the cutlass sails in, the water gently parting, it is silent against the waves. There is not even a crashing against the rocks that you can hear. All you begin to hear is, "Make way! Weigh anchor! Pull into dock! Commodore's orders! Ready on deck!" And you hear a thud, like a musket have been hit against the deck of the wooden deck of the cutlass. "Commodore on deck!" A ramp is shot down to land on the dock. Pirates make way in a path, all of them very, very cautious, all of them looking around. Pirate Council members have made their way up and stand around that area. You kind of hear murmurs as they've gone through saying, "Follow the code. Gotta follow the code. Follow the code. Follow the code."
Elizora, what's
And
the
there's
code?
Parlay is parlay is parlay.
Oh, the parlay code, yes. I thought there was like a separate one. That's fine.
As they begin making their way up and they're saying follow the code and they get through, you do see there are a few pirates that shift their swords, that even begin to draw them, and other pirates putting them down, stopping them. And there you see him standing at the top of the deck with a large hippopotamus man standing behind him in perfect colours, holding a musket and bearing 2 pistols along his side. And he just shouts down, "Commodore, depart!" And there you see a slender man, thin, no less menacing, walking with an officer's march, structured with force, uniform, bright white with teal accents, a pale complexion contrasting to his jet black hair, his goatee more controlled than a broken beast, left eye deep ocean blue and right hazel brown. Stares through the people ahead of him, stares through the crowd. You swear his eyes meet yours, Elizora, for a moment. Alarias, you swear his eyes meet yours as well. And then he begins to descend, and very quickly the GIF, or GIF, which is a argument I'm not going to get into, hippopotamus man behind him, takes a very quick step forward, in which Cleric very stops, turns around, puts a hand on his chest, pats him. "It will be fine, Mr. Squalor. Thank you for your time." And he begins to walk down towards the Pirate Council. And as he stands, shorter than some, taller than others, he is surrounded by them. There is no fear in his eyes, nor is there any cower in his posture.
There's only
And he's
one.
there.
There's one ship. Is there? Just the colours.
There's multiple ships like out.
There's an
or
armada.
There's an
Okay,
armada.
so there's an
like,
armada behind
around,
him. Right. Okay,
But the Cutlass is the only one that's come in.
that's fine. Just trying to figure out where that confidence is coming from, but that's fine. That makes sense.
And he looks around at all of them and he says, "I have only one request during this parley of agreements, and that is that those who sail the Bone Blade are also present, as this involves them. Is that agreeable to your side of this parley?" "Aye, you can have that."
And so Vaela would approach the Commodore, going, "I am the captain of the Bone Blade, Captain Vaela Crescent."
He looks at you questioningly for a moment.
Elizora nods behind her. Like,
The previous captain was overthrown. That is now belonging to me.
He looks at Elizora for a little bit longer, and then he looks back at Vaela and goes, "Very well. Anyone you feel is involved with the artifacts you might want to bring.
I'll have my first mate, Elizora, accompany me.
I believe more than just Elizora here are involved. I suggest you bring all of them."
Fine. And she'll summon for Bill.
"Very good." And he continues to walk, and he doesn't flinch when some pirates lunge towards him. He doesn't move when they spit at his feet. It is like he is walking in a completely different space as he marches towards the wreckage, followed by the Pirate Council, yourselves.
Quick question. Does the spit land on his shoe?
I'm rolling for this.
I know. Tell me about it.
Yes, it
Okay.
does.
How strong
Fine.
is this shadow cleanse?
You never know, man. It could have been an astral projection, you know? It's worth
Does happen.
worth confirming.
It does land on the shoe. It does seemingly be him.
Cool.
I will say as well, Elizora, you don't get any hint from Thalassa that there's any artifact energy on Cleric.
He would be a fool to bring it with him.
You take the slow walk into the wreckage. Before going in, Cleric turns around, looks at all of you, and just goes, I believe the artifacts are quite a sore subject for some, and others do not necessarily know about it. You may want to find private quarters for these talks. It will affect everyone.
I guess we'll find we'll probably keep it on the wreckage. See if we can find one of those side rooms that are free, and or if there's anyone in it, we'll just kick them out.
To the highest room, the taller towers go. Pew.
I don't know if it does it.
You can't.
Is
you
it
can't
actually?
get
Okay, all right. We'll
there.
do that.
There.
We'll do that.
So it's very strange. So where like a piano's been bolted to the floor because
Right.
it's up there, the piano's like on the wall now, and you kind of come up the staircase which goes into the doorway of the captain's quarters, and then everything's kind of just on the wall. But they've built it out, so they've broken through some of the decking, so there's a bit more space in there.
She will probably get some people to like stand guard nearby as well.
Mhm.
Maybe
Well, you see the pirate council members, they come in, and
Okay.
each of them seem to get like either a quartermaster or a first mate to be outside.
Okay, cool. That's fine.
Well, Commodore, you're here now. What would you like to say? Obviously, you wouldn't take this kind of risk without doing something real dangerous, or it must be worth it. Because, boy, this is one hell of a risk. It is indeed, ma'am. I do not come here to gloat. I do not come here to fight. These artifacts, they are tied to something bigger than all of us here. I should probably start at the beginning. I'd like to apologize for killing Branimir. He was a worthy adversary, and he was, unfortunately, a betrayal of my friendship. And I had revenge in my heart for that entire time. That I was probably just a bit selfish. I know what is necessary and what needed to be done, and I should have let him live as to build bridges, but instead I let my vengeance and rage override that, and I apologize for that. I hope that perhaps you can get past that for at least the time it's going to take to deal with the end of the world. I would ask what all of you know, but I suppose you are already aware, as William here, and he gestures to Bill, has probably seen exactly what I've seen. The whole world underwater again. Everything on the surface on fire. That about right, William? Blasted devil's right. Unfortunately. And I think it's time for me to say war over artifacts is not going to help our situation. I know what is necessary to get the job done, and I think we're going to have a truce for a time being.
Interesting. Okay.
Hopefully you don't know where this is going.
We're team gather the artifacts, right?
Well, we gather and destroy.
That's what
Gather,
I like to hear.
Because basically it's a bit cloudy. All they know is the end of the world is generally caused by either caused or saved by gathering the artifacts. But either by using them or destroying them. I think it's something like that.
So flood was caused initially by Joneptia using the artifacts to cause flood, which then the predicament we're all in today.
Cool.
And so, as part of when Elizora first came to the crew, she offered that she had a way to get them destroyed, which is kind of the party line we've been towing as it's been going on.
I like that. Has she revealed how they are destroyed? Do we have a Mount Doom?
We don't have a how. We just know the
Yes.
what. We just know that we are going to destroy them as a crew.
Elizora supposedly knows how.
But yeah, basically.
Elizora's got a friend on the other side who will help destroy them. That's how Elizora has always explained it, and that's the most she's ever explained it.
Okay, unpause cutscene. Now, I understand that you have no reason to trust me, nor have you any reason to want to go forward with truce. I ask you to get past our individual problems and our likely blood debts I have gained since killing Branimir, and perhaps just hold them off until after, in which case I will happily face you head on, or let you try to surprise me.
Why not return the cutlass and all the former crew to us as a first of all a sign of good faith?
What a fine idea. But I think you'll find most of the crew was already returned. I will happily retrieve the other members of that crew for you as part of this accord. And the cutlass will remain with me.
Well, at the moment, I'm currently wondering what you want to do with this said truce. I mean, a truce is one thing, but there must be actions you want following said truce. You have not yet detailed.
You are right. I'm in need of an alliance, in a sense. These artifacts must be gathered together, and I do not wish to have to cut down your men and you cut down my men in some battle over getting all the artifacts in one place, because whatever this end of the world is, whether the artifacts cause it, stop it, I'm not sure. But either way, they're important. All of them together.
Right, that much is obvious. But what are you? What is your proposal for this?
He leans back in the chair. He finds, and he looks at everyone in the room. And Tyrrell Bolt looks at him dead in the eye. Just, well, go on then. I would suggest that if I am to find any artifacts in which certain members of your crew or certain members of pirate community are capable of getting, I would suggest point you in the right direction. I would also suggest that perhaps we collate our artifacts together in a vault in which we all have access to. I would also suggest, this is one of my preferences, that no officer or fleet civilian is harmed in the time of this truce, unless given a damn good reason to be so.
I mean, there is self-defense after all.
That will be put to a trial.
Under whose court?
A combination. Something fair. I understand that as you pirates have grown in number, you have come up with your own laws and rules and such. So there would be an agreement to come up with a reasonable jury.
Okay. And what do you suggest we do once all said artifacts are gathered?
I do not know yet. Well, with my resources, your resources, we should hopefully find the answer. The gods were here during the first flood, and they banished Joneptia for it. So, assumedly, they would know how to stop another one. And perhaps we will have the tools to do such a thing. But that will require a separate, rather long journey, which I don't think is worth undertaking until we've got all of the artifacts. A journey in which I am unable to take.
I mean, we would have to discuss it on our end. However, one thing that I would be personally very concerned about is people breaking said deal. There needs to be consequences. Either
Absolutely.
repercussions or some kind of heavy collateral.
Feel like the end of the world is something enough to unite all of us.
But not enough to necessarily for to be betrayed. Now we don't trust you, you don't trust us. Yeah, especially once all these are gathered, who's to say you won't betray us? Or
That's fair.
or vice versa, because as we are in I don't in any aspect expect that you trust us to not betray you.
Not one little bit. But I'm willing to put that on the line for the survival of my people. And he gets up from the chair for a second, and he looks at all the pirate council members. And what do you say to this suggestion? Tyrrell Bolt looks absolutely fuming and as red as anything, like he's just going to pop. Doesn't say a word, though, it's just clenched fists. Odana. Well, I suppose this could be maybe the only way forward, maybe the best way forward, but I'm kind of in agreement with Miss Vaela here. I mean, Captain Vaela, of course, but we don't know you. Not really. And you've been hunting these things for I don't know how long or doing whatever you're doing, but this is gonna need a chance for us to have a talk, have a breather. How long are you willing to give us to do that? I'd say I will go back to my vessel tonight. Depart from the wreckage, weigh anchor a bit further out to sea, and then I would come back tomorrow evening, give you a night's rest and a day of thought. I think that's quite understandable. And you have your rules, let's say. So we're gonna have to come up with our own. That is right. We will go. We will talk to you about our rules tomorrow. That is understandable. These kinds of things come with discussion and compromises from both sides. If you have any questions, if you want to ask me anything of my reasonings, and he just pulls out a little stone with a small like mouth on it,
Gross.
and he hands it over. It's a stone sculpture mouth. It's not moving or anything. And he hands it over to Odana, and he goes, "Just contact me. That's a sending stone. I got the other one."
Can Umbra put his hand up?
I don't think he's there.
Oh, you're
Yeah, I
there,
didn't think he took us in. We
Well,
weren't
he could
allowed.
be there.
Kids
Oh,
table.
okay.
It's up to you. Cleric said bring everyone involved on your side, Vaela. So
Yeah, it's your call, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, in that sense, like I said, she would have only brought Elizora and Bill because they're the only ones in, like, actually know about the artifacts.
A
That's
picture
okay
up.
then.
Unless
Alright,
anyone,
yeah,
unless anyone said to her on the way there that they wanted to be involved.
I don't think Umbra would have said it, so that's fine. Yeah, there is.
I specifically don't want to be in there.
No, that's fair enough.
In the same
don't-
room as him.
Yeah, I don't think she would necessarily trust
Yeah.
that. So no, that's fair enough. So I don't know if Tim just would want to attend.
I don't think you would say so.
That's fair enough. Okay. I have to. One thing I do have to ask.
ask
I know.
me.
I know you've said that you have no plans, or you have no idea what you're going to do with these artifacts, but surely there's really only two things you can really do if you want to prevent the end of the world, is to either use them or destroy them. Now, which is it that you, which of those are you? You must be leaning to one of those directions, because only a fool would set out to collect these artifacts and not know which one they're going to do. So which is it?
There's a small smile on his face when you say that, and he just looks at you and goes, "Then you can name me a fool, because I have not decided yet, and I cannot decide yet."
Seems very careless to do so.
More cautionary than you would think. And he begins to walk out. And before he leaves, there is a hand that lands on his shoulder from Captain Tyrrell Bolt, red as anything, and he says to him, "This parley lasts until our decision tomorrow. If I hear of anything, any officers, anyone hurting any of my men, any of my people, I will kill you. And on the note of a blood debt, you will have mine." And he lets him go. And after a quick, shudder with his jacket, a brush off, Krennic walks out.
What's a cucumber?
Yeah.
He's literally the level 20, level 30, mega boss.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
He could turn out nice.
He's a
Now
good.
who's naive now?
Exactly.
As the door shuts, they all kind of turn around, and first off, Gandric Dorado turns to you, Vaela, very short dwarf, very beautifully dressed, flamboyant feather sticking out of his hat, gold earrings, gold and purple general outfit, and he looks at you and goes, "You handled that very well. I can see you will be a good captain. It's very interesting.
Thank you very much.
I will say, he has a point. If we want all of the artifacts, there will be bloodshed if we do not do this." Yeah, but the question is, how much bloodshed is it going to be if we align, and how much bloodshed is it going to be if we don't align, is kind of my thinking.
I think the thing here is that it's the access to said vault that concerns me. Ideally, this vault should be in a neutral place and require both sides present to access. The fact that both sides have access means they could just go without us and take said artifacts, and vice versa. There needs to be some kind of mechanism in whatever vault this is that is in a neutral location, and it requires both.
There's the drow elf in the corner, flat hat, curved to the right, and he's stroking it, his chin. He starts doing hand signals. I know Dan is staring at him, and she goes, "Well, no, that's a very good point. I don't think he was saying anything about him owning the vault, but I agree with you, Captain Vaela. Sorry, it's a force of habit. I agree with you. If that's going to happen, we got to agree both sides." And Tyrrell just turns around and is just like, "You can't be serious. You're not thinking of joining him, are you? He killed Branimir. We buried him today."
Yes. And there's nothing to say we can't get retribution for that. Still. As let's say, a peace offering on their side. Whatever that may be. But that still doesn't solve the problem that we do inevitably face of collecting said artifacts. I mean, we know they already have two. Now, we also know that we have two, and that amongst the rest of you there are 2 as well, which leaves at least 3 or 4 out there.
Halon Coy, Captain Coy, is like closed eyes and resting a hand on the ship, kind of gently leaning against it, and he just says, I have seen bloodshed many a time, and I have seen the thirst for power many a time. The strange thing about him is he does not seem to seek power out of anything but need. I sense there isn't a want to do this from him, but a necessity to it.
What's driving that sense? Is it just a gut feeling, or do you have magical means?
I have seen many a lifetime, and I feel many a thing, but I cannot guarantee my gut, as you would call it.
Well,
I say we discuss our terms of the agreement, and I say we put them forward and see how he reacts.
yes. Now,
But
sorry.
I just want to put this forward, Captain Vaela, Miss Elizora, and Bill. We were not aware of these artifacts in so strong a condition as we're talking about here, considering the end of the world and such like, until but a few weeks ago. You seem to be the ones with the most knowledge, and we will take your advisement with a very heavy heart. Okay?
Well, this kind of leads me to another point. Well, I mean, obviously we're going to be collecting these artifacts one way or another, with or without the fleet. And as you rightly stated, if this is going to be our goal, we are, as you said, the most experienced and the most knowledgeable. To me, it seems only right that we, or I, take a seat on your council, and then we can stand as equals as we collect these artifacts.
Fucking love that.
Roll a persuasion check. With disadvantage for it being
Oh,
Oh,
Randomir's funeral.
I know. It was gonna be later, but they forced my hand with it, in a
you
way.
haven't caused us first.
Yeah.
Ask again later.
No. Can I use my DM intervention?
Yes, you can.
I'm gonna use that for this roll.
Okay.
Do I still need to
Can you
roll it?
explain the rule?
Do I need
No, you don't need to roll it.
Okay, I'll just
So-
untick it.
If blessed by the god or angel celestial magic in your blood, you feel your presence push upon them all. Just a little bit, just to show you as like this guiding light, this angel
Yeah.
sent to them as
Yeah.
a resolution.
Spiritual pressure.
Spiritual pressure, yeah.
Yeah.
And Captain Cross, the one who has the temple, his ship that has all religions, is enamored by you at this point. And even utters, so beautiful. Yes, no, she could do it. And they all do agree you would make a good Pirate Council member. And they would if they could. And Tyrrell just comes forward and says, "No, Captain Vaela, you would make a fine replacement for Branimir. But we have a code. And unless you can provide proof that he named you his successor, or you were the one that drew his blood, unfortunately, you cannot become the council member. And only until those two things have been completely dealt with. And sure, they are not the case. We unfortunately cannot make anyone else his council spot. They all like look down, and I think with the DM point, like they all bring out a medallion that looks a lot like an Electrum piece, but instead of being the color of Electrum, it is a blood-soaked coin. And this blood-soaked coin does not drip blood. It does not lose any of its consistency, but there is just a constant layer of blood around this coin. When the first council members made their agreement, they cut their hands and bled on these coins in that chalice downstairs. They agreed a truce among all pirates to follow laws. They agreed laws to follow. And as each of them are revealing it, Halon Coy brings out his, and he goes, "We are chosen successors, or we are ones who killed the previous council member and took this for ourselves. When you returned his body, it did not have this on him, which means he has either chosen a successor or someone has taken it for themselves. For that reason alone, I am sorry, Captain Vaela. We cannot put you in his stead."
Well, it's very disappointing.
They should give you his coin,
Well, they don't have it. That's the
at the very least.
I know. Well, yeah. Well, the thing is, it's probably the coin that Umbra's got, right?
He's
Right.
already split that in.
Oh, is he?
Umbra didn't get that coin from Branimir's body.
No,
Umbra got
no.
that coin from
From the bird
the
vulture.
vulture.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a shame that that is the rule set, as it only dwindles your number, because if you are defeated by other means, it means that your ranks cannot be replenished and eventually will die out.
It is unfortunately a rule that we have all decided many lifetimes ago. One that could change, but not yet. We have not been in such dangers as now as to change the law in such a way. What I will say, and I will put it to the council now, is we can make you honorary council member. The only things you will lack is ownership of that region of the sea, but you will be present in all conversations of the council. And we, unfortunately, do not know the capability to add you to the chalice, so you would hear the call. Not without the medallion. Not without your own piece.
Right. So we're going to need means of communication, because if I am going to be present, I will need means to know. If it's not said through said chalice, then we'll need an alternative method. I don't particularly need a section of the sea right now. The situation at the moment doesn't really need recall for that. Being an honorary, I am happy to be an honorary council member. We would just need to get around this technical limitation, as it were.
But I'll say one thing for sure. If you ever find Branimir's medallion, his blood-soaked piece, well, honey, you're in. I'm just going to say that now. And I just want to be very, very clear on this. If you don't have it and it's lost, it will eventually come back by itself. there is some magic to it. I don't understand it. And in that situation, we usually have some kind of competition where people fight for it or do some captainy things, challenges, that kind of stuff. But honey, you're in, okay? So if it turns up in the chalice, we'll let you know. And I've been working on something kind of similar to this sending stone, but a little bit simpler. And we'll use that to communicate with you. It's a small little thing, so you don't need to worry about carrying it around.
Well, I think I can't thank you all enough. I understand this is the best we are able with the current current situation. Yeah, I just thank you for all your courtesy, and
It's absolutely
I will
fine.
endeavour to fill the position, even though it's acting or honorary, to the best of my ability.
And honey, don't forget, as an honorary member, you also get a vote. Okay? In any agreements, decisions, disagreements.
I feel
That
that.
means that when it comes to war,
Mhm.
you are involved.
Well, I feel that will be a useful thing in the days ahead. With that out of the way, we need to think about what we do now. I don't think, and I can see our friend Captain Bolt over here is probably in no condition to have that kind of line of thinking. I suggest we rest for the rest of the day and come back tomorrow with the chance to recuperate with ideas in our head, and we can go through, because he's not going to come back till tomorrow evening, correct?
Hang on there, Vaela. Hang on. Let's clear the air somewhat around what's going on with these artifacts and
Oh, right, yes.
at least get food for thought around here.
Very well.
Now, many of you may remember myself as Elizora Estiedieu. I've been around many a year on the high seas, and you may not recall myself being much of interest to such of these artifacts, and I've come to many of you to discuss these artifacts, and you'll blow me side by side, left to right, up and down, all over the place, brushing me off with only one person, and all you captains decided to listen, and that right there was Brandy Bloodbeard. God rest his soul. He listened, he helped, and we searched together on and off year to year, but we had a good planning relationship. And now, if in any way we had listened even a fraction of a year sooner, we may have had the leverage all to ourselves. Now, we actually do have some leverage by having the majority of artifacts known.
Mm-hmm.
They have 2, we have 4. And that is a mighty position itself. Now, for clarity's sake, they have the crown. You may not have heard about the crown, but it's mighty powerful. They also have the scimitar, which, if you know our bone blade, then you know of the story of the old crafty cutlass holder himself, who was then chopped in pieces by his own crew.
A few of them nod, and then Captain Cross is just like the little halfling guy with a big wide like straw hat, and he's got like a cross on his chest and a few other like holy symbols just around him generally. And he's just like, what? Not a clue, basically. But the rest of them are all just like nodding, yes.
Well, so they have 2. They're probably one of the most powerful, as well as probably a semi-useful scimitar that could probably do lots of stuff with bones of some kind. Now we have the trident, we have the globe, you have the compass, and you have the ship. Now, I speak for myself, I won't speak for any other of y'all, but I will never in my life allow Commodore Credit Crane to even lick my boot, let alone touch my artifacts. And we should never trust him.
Captain Bolt behind you just goes, here, here.
I don't for a minute trust the man. And I'm also not suggesting we necessarily, agree to his terms or his truce. But it's certainly a thing to consider. either, and which depending on whichever direction we go. I don't think it's one of those agreements we can just flatly right here, right now, say yes or no to. Because there will be strong feelings either way for that agreement between us.
There is the other point of they have us kind of surrounded, and I have a feeling that he's the type of person to not take kindly to being disagreed to.
Especially as the parley officially look kind of, side-eyeing Bolt a little, have been informed that our parley ends as soon as our decision is given. That decision is not the one they want, and the parley immediately ends. We will most likely be fired upon. But that's again just a factor. And there's nothing to say that us being pirates, if we do agree, doesn't mean we necessarily have to agree.
I reject any notion to our artifacts being locked up in some kind of vault.
Well, it certainly wouldn't be, if it certainly wouldn't be a vault of their control. That's for sure. And in all fairness, not one that we control either. Like I said before, it would have to be a neutral party. Whatever that may be, whoever that may be. But that's something we will all need to think about and discuss as part of our terms. But as Elizora has pointed out here, it's all well and you all need to know of the gravity of this situation and how powerful these things really are. Even alone, they are game changers.
The drow elf in the corner with the hat taps Halon on the shoulder, starts signing again to them, and Halon just goes, "My friend here wonders, what terms do we care for? If we were to agree, what things can we put in place to better our advantage?" Well, I'll tell you one thing. Fucking fleet slave trade can go to shit. They're all like, here.
We just have to remember, for an enticing deal, however strong our requests will be equally asked of us. If we ask them to free this for the slave trade, they may ask for a similar steep request of us in return. And are we willing to pay that price? Just something to consider.
It's still bullshit. I don't like it. I never have.
No. But it's certainly something to weigh up. We could make as many demands as we want, but as we can have heard so far, they have made no real demands. They've just stated that they want us not to kill each other. But the thing that doesn't sit right with me, and you heard it as well, as doesn't know what he wants to do with them, and I don't honestly believe that he is the type of man not to know. I know I didn't do an insight check, but I'm just going with that.
I was literally about to say, no one inside him.
No.
You don't need to necessarily.
This is true.
Well, she would have
Have
felt
your
she
own
wouldn't need
means.
to,
I will say one thing. If we can avoid war, it would be wise. If we can't avoid war, we should have an escape plan. Because at the moment, and Halon kind of moves over to a porthole in this part of the ship and stares out. The moment we are very, very surrounded.
Yes. I also think we should, I would still feel more comfortable with some form of collateral if they were to betray us. At least we would own something of theirs, and vice versa. I'm sure they have
He's
a.
going to
I'm sure
betray
they.
us, we'll have nothing left.
I'm sure he has a very impressive treasury.
Oh, and if he's going to be willing to betray us, do you really think we'd even get collateral?
Well, it just goes to show that we can't trust him then. We're not willing to put his money where his mouth is. Do we really want to be putting the artifacts anywhere near him?
As you were saying, Vaela, any such demands of him will crest the equal of us.
Indeed.
So any mighty price of collateral from him he will surely demand the same.
Indeed. Indeed. It's not
I
an easy
suggest
thing to come up with.
we take the rest of the evening mourn our brother fallen, and I think, in true honor of the code, we should discuss with our crews and get their opinion on it.
I agree. More heads, the better. I think.
As he said, and I don't like to agree with him, this does involve everyone. And on that note, kind of feels like a good time to cut off and say, next time on Pirate Adventures, what will your terms be the next day? How will your crew take this news? Is Cleric full of shit?
100%.
Oh, undoubtedly.
Next time on Pirate Adventures.